Okay, good afternoon, everybody. It is a minute past 5, and therefore we can begin the meeting of the Cabinet on Wednesday, the 15th of October. I have an agenda, and therefore we shall begin with apologies for absence. Don't believe there are any. Urgent matters, there are none. Matters to be considered in private. If you wish to speak to any of the confidential appendices in any of the reports on the agenda, please indicate before doing so. And as I always say, please try, if you can, to avoid doing so on the basis that if you do, we'll have to both clear the gallery and turn off the live stream. That does not preclude you from doing so, but as I say, please indicate if you wish to refer to those papers beforehand. We have a turn up for the books. There is an appointment to a subcommittee or to an outside body, and I believe the monitoring officer has that information.
Yes, that's sorry. Yes, indeed. I believe. Sorry, Chair. I wasn't expecting to do this at this moment.
So
Can I just
okay,
come
I'll
back
come back
to
you?
you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Because that's as a monitoring officer, I have made that appointment. I believe it's, but I'll come back to you in 1 minute.
Thank you very much. Minutes of the meeting held on the 3rd of September. I'd ask members to review the minutes and ask that they're agreed. We will go to item number 7, the Affordable Workspace Strategy. Councillor Nagpal.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, I'm just having a slight technical difficulty. So this is our affordable workspace delivery strategy. It is an intention for how we intend to deliver affordable workspace across our 7 towns to ensure that every single one of our 7 towns prospers and has equal benefit from economic growth in our borough.
Yeah, thank you very much. I didn't receive any indications to speak on this item. A good piece of work. We talk a lot, don't we, about the need to provide affordable homes in Ealing and across London, which is an incredibly important part of what we do. In the era of the council fundamentally believing that growth is a good thing, and we have to share that right across the borough, we also need to protect places that can enable businesses to grow. And often if they're priced out of the market, then that's a significant challenge and a barrier that's in their way. So that strategy does start to help us address those issues in terms of the ask that it's making. So it's a good piece of work, and I'd like to thank those involved in putting it together. No comments or questions. So are members happy to agree the recommendations? Thank you. Churchfield Road temporary accommodation lease renewal, and that's Councillor Brett.
Thank you, Chair. So recently we have been undertaking a review of our approach to provision of temporary accommodation, and this is kind of look at making sure that we ensure better quality accommodation as well as managing high costs and demand that's going on at the moment. So this renewal of the contract and the length of the contract allows us to basically do exactly that. And it gives us a better value for money, as well as giving us a long tenure to make sure that we, provide enough temporary accommodation for the demand that is coming through the door at the moment.
Thank you. And again, I've not received any requests to speak on this item. Any contributions or questions from Cabinet? If not, directed to the recommendations. Are they agreed? Thank you. Council Plan Performance Report Q1. As ever, this report sets out the achievements of the council in the context of the council plan, which we publish each year, which is in and of itself a document setting out our achievements in terms of our impact in relation to the administration's priorities and our manifesto, and of course a series of what we consider to be organisational health checks that enable us to understand the performance of the organisation more broadly. This paper covers the Q1 performance, and what I do I will ask, as I always do, for individual members of the Cabinet to speak very briefly, if you could, on your portfolios. We'll then go to questions from opposition members, which I know that there are some. So I'm going to just go in the order of the report. Tackling crime and antisocial behaviour, Councillor Nand.
Thank you, Chair. We have invested 10.6 million to tackle antisocial behaviour, burglary and violent crime and violence against women and girls. Our AMVOG action plan strongly focuses on the prevention, and we continue to work along and deliver across all our 4 priorities. The borough-wide public space protection order has been renewed for 3 years with 1.8 million invested, and Cabinet approved the report in September for us to go ahead on the next 3 years. Through our Ealing alternative provision to a strong partnership with the Youth Justice Service, we have adopted a 3-tiered approach to prevent exclusions, achieving 27% reduction in permanent exclusions in the borough. Chair, also the number of first-time entrants to the youth justice system remains low, with Ealing's indicator rated green. The Youth Justice Service, alongside the Lions Project in schools, continues to support young people early to steer them away from offending. This project has been rolled out and has been running in our 7 schools to date. The Lions Project produces and provides targeted support for young people at risk of exclusion or with behaviour or attendant issues. It really helps the identification, intervention, rather than waiting for issues to worsen. Chair, this tends to improve outcomes.
Thank you very much. Climate action, Councillor Driscoll.
Thank you, Chair. So the longer term goals with cycle infrastructure investment and bike hangers and transport proposals are on track. We've got a significant number of school streets across the borough and should be on track to meet its goals for this administration, which is 50 across the borough, which has been very good to see, and they're being well received. Planting of trees is on track and is likely to exceed our goal by the end of the year. We have taken the lead with electric vehicle charging, and although we are unlikely to meet our overall target, we will be seeing significant investment in affordable, lower cost charging units at lampposts, and that will be coming in shortly. And we're taking a lead with a West London, North London consortium. It was really pleasing to see that our community-led projects are on target to fund 20 of those from our carbon offset funds, which is a good use of enabling those organisations that are less able to fund carbon reduction to take place. That was very well received. We still face challenges in street cleansing and some fly tipping issues. We have responded to that with additional resourcing being deployed in the autumn to address, obviously, an annual challenge and not a surprise of leafing. So that will be coming out, and that will be rolling out from the 20th of October. So that will be across the borough wide with targeted resourcing and also improvements borough wide. So that's going to address a lot of the concerns in those key indicators there. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Healthy Equal Lives, Councillor Newstub.
Brilliant. Thank you, Chair. I'm delighted to say we've supported more vulnerable people to live independent lives at home than we targeted. We've built on our extremely successful reablement programme and have been able to expand that from residents leaving Ealing Hospital to the other hospitals that our residents use. Significant backlogs in accessing adult social care have been reduced. And we've been working hard to improve our strategic approach to supporting carers who we rely on so much in the borough. There's some progress to go on our direct payments, which is probably the area that I'm most disappointed in. We've got a significant amount of work in train to redress that, and we hope to see those numbers improving over the coming year. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. A fair start, Councillor Blacker.
Thank you, Chair. Looking at the 4-year targets that we've already exceeded, you'll see that we have now met our 4-year target to spend £1.5 million on prevention and helping to avoid children going into care. That has seen us have a very good reduction in the number of children in care. In line with that, which not only saves the authority a huge amount of money, but also, most importantly, provides better outcomes for those children and young people. In line with that, and in line with the Cabinet's decision some time ago now to improve our in-house fostering offer with council tax exemption and other benefits brought in, we are now on track to recruit more in-house foster carers, which again will not only save the authority money, but having Ealing residents looking after Ealing's young people will keep those young people in the borough close to their networks as existing already. I should flag that recently we've had our Ofsted area SEND inspection. That's not in this report, but we'll come back to at a future date. Obviously, we do have challenges in some of the timeliness around turning around EHCPs, education and healthcare plans, as the rest of the country does, given the pressures in the system. But we've made huge progress tackling the backlog there and improving our processes. So I hope to, at the next quarter, to show some improvement there. And finally, I just want to highlight the rollout of breakfast clubs and wraparound care, which is one of the government's priorities, and given us some very welcome funding from the Labour government to provide better support for families and children in our schools.
Thank you very much. Decent living incomes, Councillor Nagpal.
Thank you, Chair. So on the percentage of food businesses that are broadly compliant with food legislation, I'm really pleased that that's at 88% and RAG rated as green. Our food safety team work really hard with food businesses across our borough, not only by completing food safety inspections, but working tirelessly with business owners and their employees to train them on food safety and hygiene practices. And I've been out with our food safety team and seen firsthand the amount of work that this takes. And I'm really proud of all the work that they do to keep our residents safe. On the number of people completing employability courses, this is 209 versus a target of 308, and that's because of the way that data from academic providers is split across 2 academic years. So this is RAG rated as red. However, I do expect the annual target to be achieved. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Inclusive economy, Councillor Donnelly.
Thank you, Chair. Couple of themes I'd like to draw out in the area of cost of living crisis support. I think members of Strategy and Change Scrutiny had an excellent presentation from Louisa McDonald around the whole range of work that council's doing here, not least around distribution of household support fund, which continues under the new government. But in particular, I'd like to highlight the work we've done to automate our connections with the universal credit system so that we're able to offer our support through council tax support instantly based upon accurate understanding of people's real income through universal credit. I'd like to flag, because I think members Cabinet will recall that really ever since COVID, the collection rates around council tax and business rates have struggled to get to the levels we traditionally held. And I think what we're seeing in this quarter is we're there. And that's a lot of hard work's been done over a long period to get back to that situation. So thank you to the team for that. I think it would be remiss of me not to point that out. Just to update an item here around the Percival House ground floor public space. I had the happy duty to sign individual cabinet member decision authorising the next phase of the work to continue, work which is referred to in the future tense within the report, and hopefully that won't be obstructed in any way, and we'll be able to move forward on the timetable that we've already outlined. Still challenges with things like freedom of information requests, but as I pointed out in the past, it's going to be read unless we reach 100%, which no council, to the best of my knowledge, has ever done.
Thank you. Safe, genuinely affordable homes, Councillor Brett.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to kind of focus on the fact that we are on track to invest our 400 million into our council stock, and that's making sure that our homes are fit for the future in terms of energy efficiency and making sure that our residents live in places that are warm and cheaper to run, and also that that they have decent places to live. So I'm really pleased that we're still on track with that, and I'm assured that that we will be by the end of the year. So that's fantastic news. Also, we've made, whilst they're still RAG rated as red, the number of families with children in over 6 weeks in bed and breakfast has had a significant reduction. So since the beginning of the year, we've reduced that by 40%. And so whilst the numbers are still high, they are gradually reducing. And in actual fact, I'm hoping that at the next time that we're reporting that we will continue to see that trajectory going downwards. And that's really, really positive news in terms of better outcomes for our residents. And also, obviously, bed and breakfasts are quite significant cost to the council. So that's another kind of improvement for us. And then just later this month, we are on track to launch the Renters Association consultation. And that again is highlighting how the council are continuing to make sure that we are supporting our residents that are in the private rented sector and making sure that they know their rights and have decent places to live, whether they are within the council or in the private sector. Thank you.
Thank you. Good growth in new homes. Councillor Munro.
Thank you, Chair. So really the local plans moving forward, there'll be another examination in December and we're moving towards a conclusion. Sale is the same. When we're moving towards a conclusion, I think we're more or less there with that and we will work our way through that. In terms of new housing starts, Chair, I just want to take a bit of time to just lay out the sort of London-wide environment for building homes. In the first 9 months of this year, there were only 5,933 private homes sold in London. And there were only 3,248 starts in the whole of London. In fact, in the first quarter of 2025, there were 26 London boroughs had no housing starts at all, including us. So the economic climate has been very, very difficult in terms of building houses. But there is, if you were to look at how we've performed in terms of other boroughs, since May 22, we've started 2,614 affordable housing starts. Out of that, 1,066 and of SR and social rent and London affordable rent, and that's second in London. So out of all the boroughs, we're second. Direct council-led affordable starts was 969, and we're fifth in London for that. And total affordable completions in London was 2,429 in Ealing, and we're second in London for that. So if you were to compare us to other London boroughs, we have been performing well, although in terms of our housing target, which is 4,000 generally affordable homes, we're at 1,600 and something. We have purchased 290 private sector homes and turned them into social rented homes, and we've spent £100 million doing that on the Berkeley site, in the Green Quarter in Southall, and Countryside in Acton. So we're taking positive measures to get to our target, and we may not reach there by the end of 26, but we're doing everything possible to get there. So, Chair, in London-wide basis, we are near the top, but we're still not got to our target, and we're going to attempt every single process that we can take in terms of buying more units and blocks from stuck developers to get us to as close to the target as we can. So there's some good news, but we've not reached our target at the moment.
Yeah, and the collapse of the London housing market in terms of new builds and sales, I'm sure, is not lost on anyone. Let's move finally to thriving communities. Where are you, Councillor Shine?
Thank you, Chair. So in this report, we outline that we now have 7 town teams across each of our towns in the borough, fully formed since I think we were last here, and that is a significant milestone in our work around our Thriving Communities work with our Your Voice Your Town project, and this has seen a growth in our community networks, and we're really proud of how these are moving forward, and we're very excited to see how they develop in the weeks and months ahead too. We've made some really important investments, nearly £1 million of UK SPF funding into 3 culture hubs across the borough. One at Acton Library, another at Northolt Library, and another at Southall Library. And these were significant developments in diversifying the offers at these libraries, and there's lots of positive engagement since that's happened. We've also spent over £2 million and exceeded our target, in fact, on our playgrounds project, and we're seeing playgrounds across the borough being upgraded. Lots of positive feedback on that from residents, and although there's, I think there's a red rag on the library's visits, that was partly because Greenford Library was closed for a period of time, but I can also confirm that actually now that's transferred to the Young Ealing Foundation as part of our plans to transfer it to a community managed library, and that's gone through, and we're very, very looking forward to seeing how they progress with that work, and we're very supportive of that. So thank you.
Thank you very much to Cabinet members for those introductions. I have questions from both members of the opposition, and as is the rule, Councillor Glant, you're in the room, so you get to go first.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thanks to Cabinet for your resumes. If I could, I've got a few questions here. Page 98 under decent living incomes. The High Street Task Force is named at the top of the list of successful initiatives. My question is why it's been disbanded and or renamed as High Street Sector Forum with a reduced schedule of meetings. Will it have any change of function? On page 100 under Inclusive Economy, yeah, Councillor Donohue's completely stolen my question. He was over my shoulder earlier on, but he's on some extent answered the question I had. I would question whether January 2026 is a realistic time frame for completion of the South Atrium. And the general question is, will these works result in more accessibility and a more accessible public face for the council? On page 101, safe and genuinely affordable homes. Thank you very much. Private Renters Association, Councillor Brett, you've explained that. I've got a very strange question. Will it include landlords? And if so, which landlords or their representatives? Page 102, good growth in new homes. I mean, I accept obviously the situation, the London situation. I mean, it would be silly not to accept that. I'm slightly surprised no mention's been made of the costly potential demolition programme that was necessitated by the collapse of a council-appointed constructor. There's no mention of that, and I'd be grateful for some update.
So the question is, so there will be an update, it's on the full plan, but is there a specific question in relation to that?
Demolition?
Yeah.
Which sites exactly are due for demolition?
Okay. Let's do them in turn. So High Street Task Force and the succession of that and the sector forums. Councillor Nagpal.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councillor Gallant, for your question. In our jobs and skills strategy, the high streets are on the jobs and skills strategy as a foundation sector. So we've got our growth sectors and we've got our foundation sectors, and we want to see our high streets really thriving in Ealing. What's happened with the High Street Task Force is that the funding for that, as it was funded through the UK SPF, has changed now, and what the members of the High Street Task Force want is for it to be much more of an operational meeting where they can come along and talk about what's happening in Ealing. They want it to be less strategic, more operational. And the reason that we're going to have meetings every other month is because it's the members that want to focus on specific themes. So they want to talk about, one time we'll talk about safety, and then on another meeting we'll talk about how we celebrate our high streets and how we get ready for Christmas and Diwali and Eid and all the other wonderful celebrations that we have in our wonderful borough. So they're going to be very much themed meetings every other month, and this is what the members want to see from those meetings. Thank you.
Councillor Donnelly, I suspect I know the answer to the question. Will the opening of the South Atrium for the use of the public mean that the public get to use the South Atrium?
I'm delighted to say, Chair, that it will mean that. But more seriously, that there'll be levels of accessibility. I mean, not just in terms of being able to get in and out of the building, but in terms of what the public will be able to do within this public space. So, and in terms of the timeframe, Councillor Gallant, our ambitions are unchanged.
I make light of it, Councillor Gallant, but it's a perfectly reasonable question. But you've heard the assurance, I'm sure. Let's go to Safe and Genuine Affordable Homes, Councillor Brett, on the Renters' Rights Association.
Yeah, at this point, there is no desire to have landlords as part of that renters association. It is purely in terms of renters' rights and what that involves. We don't have a renters association of any kind in Ealing, and this is the first step towards having something along those lines so that renters know what their rights are, and that they form a tight coalition that holds rogue landlords to account. And I just want to say that because there are lots of responsible landlords out there who provide really, really excellent accommodation, and lots of our residents live in that. But there should be a forum where people can come together and know what their rights are, and that is what this forum is supposed to be for. And just to say that landlords do have the NRLA, which is a body that they have had, and that's been set up for a considerable amount of time. Thank you.
And nobody need declare a pecuniary interest in the context of that question or answer, right?
No, that's fine.
Okay, there you go. We now go to Good Growth and New Homes. Councillor Manro, I'm sure it's on the forward plan.
I think it's Dean Gardens is in the forward plan. So that's something that we're looking at to do. The other sites, because of Broadway Living and some of the complications around legalities, we are pursuing measures to check those buildings out, do all the due diligence before we go out to the market. So I can't at the moment say whether we'll be able to retain them or they will have to be demolished. But Dean Gardens, we've done the work and we're moving forward with that plan.
Yeah. Liz Truss, Kwesi Kwarteng, mini budget, interest rates spike, inflation. Not just Henry, but many other contractors going to the wall, creating the macroeconomic picture in housing at the moment that's led to that situation. So, Councillor Gallant, I know you know that, and we've discussed it many times around this table. Councillor Malcolm, you have a question.
Thank you, Chair. I'm sure it's an accident, but I can see on pages 111 and 113 relating to Warren Farm that the area to be rewild is only 20 or 22 hectares. Cabinet on the 6th of March last year, 16th of July this year, referenced the full 25 hectares, and also the council maps on the website say that. So could the portfolio holder please clarify how big an area they intend to designate as the Warren Farm Local Nature Reserve? And if it's not the full 25 hectares of Warren Farm, please explain to the council why it's going back on its agreed policy.
Councillor Ashani.
Thanks, Councillor Malcolm. My understanding is the figure in there came about from an exercise done 4 years ago. That was basically a desktop exercise. So I think we stand by our commitments to bringing Warren Farm into nature reserve. We've made that clear, and we will continue to stand by that, and we're not reneging on any of that. Thank you.
Is it possible to correct the report to say that so it's accurate?
I think on Councillor Malcolm, through the chair, number one. Number two, we don't do follow-ups. You've had the answer. The papers are published. You've had the assurance. The assurance is on the public record. the commitment of the administration remains to the commitments that we've already made in public, and it's a typo. So you got that. You got that on the record. Are there any other questions or comments from members of the Cabinet in relation to the report? Okay, that being the case, if you're happy to review the recommendations, I think they're notes, but if you can agree, then that'd be lovely. Thank you very much. We are going to move to the Housing Capital M&E Tender Award, and I believe I'm going to Councillor Brett.
You are indeed. Thank you, Chair. So a decision was made to invite and evaluate tenders in January in 2024, and this has been quite a long process and very rigorous process. And this is to award a contract to 2 different contractors for our mechanical and electrical services, which are very specialised, and in particular for any of our blocks, our high-rise blocks that are 18 metres or over. So it does need significant specialist work, and this is just to award that contract. And the contract is a 5-year contract for each, with a possibility of extending for a further 5 years. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions or comments from members of the Cabinet? I haven't had any requests to speak. No, therefore, if I could ask that the recommendations in the report are agreed. Thank you. North Acton Business Improvement District ballot, Councillor Nagpal.
Thank you, Chair. So this report asks Cabinet to consider proposals for a new business improvement district in North Acton to enable bid ballots to take place. Ealing's Jobs and Skills Strategy seeks to enable the creation of more bids across the borough. There are 3 existing bids in Ealing at the moment, and this emerging bid in North Acton would be the 4th, subject to a successful ballot. If successful, this new bid would commence its first term in June 2026 for a period of 5 years.
Yes, there is a question from Councillor Gallant.
Yes, Chair. So this is a new bid model for Ealing. Exciting, actually, which includes property owners and businesses. I just wondered if it had been tested elsewhere, if the model's been taken from another example. That'd be interesting to know. What kind of projects might be included in the plans to improve the area, given that it's a new kind of bid? Is there any potential overlap with the council's statutory obligations? One you probably can't answer, has there been any assessment of project costs? But that's an obvious question. And what mechanism will be used to assess benefit to residents and businesses in this North Acton area, given, again, the special model of this bid?
I'll invite Councillor Nagpal. I think many of those questions are answered by the report. But Councillor Nagpal.
You're right, Chair, but I'm happy to answer them.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you for your questions, Councillor Gallant. Well, it sounds like you are, from what I'm hearing, supportive of the bid broadly. But OK, so in response to your questions, the fact that it's Ealing's first property owner bid, I mean, there are traditional occupier bids elsewhere in the borough. This particular property owner bid, there is an example of this in Westminster. So it's called the New West End Company bid. And the reason that this model has been chosen in North Acton is because of the sort of long-term strategic approach that's needed, that's vital for North Acton, because it's undergoing significant change and there's a lot of long-term investment associated with HS2, OPDC, West Tech London, and therefore, I mean, it's property owners that want to be involved, so they've specifically asked to be involved alongside occupiers, and really without them, there wouldn't be enough of a levy coming in to have an impact in the area. Your question about projects, so again, the report does cover this, but I mean, once we get to the other end of the ballot, there would be a bid board made up of representative levy payers, again, post ballot, and then they would decide sort of the focus areas. But Appendix 3 and 4 of the report does cover some of the areas that are of focus, like safety and security, like cleanliness, like traffic flow, and also like things like culture and community, to encourage people to stay in the area, to enjoy the area. So that's what I expect that we will see. In terms of costs, so I mean, in terms of the council, I mean, there isn't really any cost to the council because the ballot and the levy collection costs will be recoverable from the bid. And in terms of benefits, I mean, I would say that the bid is viable. It's well supported by businesses in the area and landowners in the area. Given the numbers, which I'm sure you've seen in the report, it's expected to generate sufficient income for all of the local improvements that I've mentioned to do with culture and safety, etc. So I guess most of that we'll probably see post ballot in terms of benefits, but it does seem like a very viable bid at present.
Yeah, thank you. And you know, I'd add, you know, I really want to thank the area regeneration team for getting us to this position. You know, I've been in conversations personally with many of the landowners at North Acton who have been desperate for a very long time to sort of play their part in the maintenance and the sort of coherence and the custodianship of North Acton, partly because, as you rightly say, Councillor Nagpal, they are long-term investors. There's a lot of build-to-rent schemes in that area where you've got major landlords actually that wants to be paying back into the community and have seen the bid as a way of doing that, and therefore it's going to be, I hope, quite you know, informative when we get the result of the bid back in terms of what the overall sort of yes vote invariably ends up being. I suspect it be fairly high given those conversations that have happened, and of course it's a very exciting time for North Acton. We have been developing and delivering the southern end of the HS2 major regeneration project now for well over a decade. Perhaps as OPDC has struggled to deliver anywhere else within their red line, we've been getting on and doing it at North Acton. And we were just there the other day actually to see some of the work that has been curated in North Acton Square to activate it, to deliver 5 new units of retail opportunity. Met some incredible people. You know, a chap who you know, received his refugee status from Syria, who's opening a barber shop in one of the 5 units, is building his life now in the UK, and he's soon to employ other young men who need an opportunity, and the fact that we can support that in North Acton is a very good thing, and hopefully the bid will produce a bit more revenue that will enable even more of that good activity to start happening too. So I hope, yeah, we shall see in the bid result, which I'm sure will be reported back to us after the delegations to the relevant officers. Any questions or comments on that one? No, I don't see any. So if we're happy, can we agree the recommendations in the report? Rough Sleeping Services contract award, contract rather. Councillor Brett.
Thank you, Chair. I think everybody in this room will appreciate the fact that Ealing Borough has been on the sharp end of homelessness and rough sleeping for quite some time, with sharp increases in the last couple of years. We heavily rely on our partners to help with this and make sure that we're supporting people. So this award is to formalise and kind of enter into an interim contract with St Mungo's, who we currently use, and are providing some really key services for our rough sleeping population, making sure that they support them into some more secure housing, also in terms of any addiction problems, also supporting them. So this is a 3-year contract, and I'm really happy to kind of bring it forward. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And some very good news this week, equally in the uplift in funding from government to help deal with issues around rough sleeping, and so I'm sure we'll factor that into consideration as we move forward on that contract. Questions or comments from anybody? I don't believe there are. Therefore, can I ask that the recommendations are agreed? I'll go back to the monitoring officer for appointments to subcommittees and outside bodies.
Thank you, Chair. To confirm that under my delegated powers, I have appointed Councillor Donnelly to replace Councillor Nagpal on the Greater London Employment Forum.
Thank you. And with that, we've concluded the business of Cabinet, and thank you very much. We'll see you next time.